Hi there Booktube, it's Eleanor here, and I am just recording this the day before Booktubeathon starts, just to talk to you a little bit about my plans for Booktubeathon. I'm hoping to vlog the next week. I'm hoping to have quite a bit of time to read. Matilda is doing some drama stuff every morning this week, so hopefully that will leave me a little bit of time after I've done all my jobs and stuff to do some nice relaxing reading. I've been umming and ahhing a bit about my TBR, because if you've seen my Yalk vlog, you'll know that I bought quite a lot of books and they're new and they're exciting, and now I want to read them all. So I may be changing my TBR slightly from what I had anticipated. But I definitely know that the first book I'm going to read is my book to movie adaptation, and that is Speak by Laurie Halse Anderson. I've picked this because I realised that they made like a living type, you know, Hallmarky-ish type film of this with Kirsten Stewart, and it's actually available on YouTube. So I'm going to read this and then I'm going to watch that. From what I can gather, this is about a girl who is a bit of an outcast, and then at a party I think she rings the police on something that's happening. I think also something may have happened to her. I think it looks really interesting. It's a YA book. It's only a couple of 100 pages. It's really readable and doable for the read-a-thon. So I'm going to start with this so I can then go straight on and watch the film. But before I do that, it's obviously the night before, and I've just finished a recent book, so I want to talk about that quickly, and that is Flawed. And this is written by various UK YA authors. We've got Sarah Bernard, Holly Bourne, Tanya Byrne, Non Pratt, Melinda Salisbury, Lisa Williamson, and Eleanor Wood. Now, this really exceeded my expectations. It is about 6 teenagers who meet one day in a broadcasting studio's lift, something I think which is a little bit like the BBC, but they call it UKB, and they're there for various reasons. Some of them have parents there, some of them have work experience going on, one of them is there to deliver a parcel, but they all end up in the same lift at the same time when a man gets in and has a heart attack and dies, and it forms a sort of bond between them. And we then follow them for 6 years after that, where they meet every year on the anniversary of this day, and just we follow their lives in between those times. We follow their perspectives on what's happening, and all the time that their relationships and friendships are blossoming and changing as they go through this sort of 17, 16 to 21 sort of period in their life. I really enjoyed it. I thought the characters were really well fleshed out. I thought the voices were really strong in each of the characters. I thought it flowed really nicely together. There was poignant moments, there was sad moments, there was really interesting looks into various different dynamics, things like parents in the spotlight, not meeting your parents' expectations, a mother with Alzheimer's, someone who is a single parent and is a single father, and how they cling on to their child, and how that affects them. There is bisexuality looked at. There is both male and female relationships talked about within that bisexuality. There is a look at class, and how that affects people. It was just really good. I couldn't put it down. I read this in just over a day, and I haven't done that for quite a while. I didn't give it 5 stars. I don't know why, because I was so close. I was umming and ahhing between 4 and 5. And I think if I'm umming and ahhing, generally I go for a 4. So although it may be like a 4.25 if you were going to do lots of little quarter stars and stuff, this is a real solid 4, and definitely one that I would recommend to people to read. I think you'll really enjoy it, whether you like YA or whether you like adult fiction. I think you'll really enjoy it. It's just a really good well written book. So yay, I'm really pleased that I read this one, and all the authors were at Yalk, so it was really nice to see them there and on different panels and things. So before the Booktubeathon starts, here's a good one that I've read so far. I'm going to start tomorrow with Speak, and I will come back to you and let you know how I get on. Hi guys, so it's about midday on the first day of the Booktubeathon, and I've already read my first book, Speak by Laurie Halse Anderson. This is a YA contemporary novel about a girl who is starting high school, and it's talking about something's happened to her. She's very depressed. She hasn't got the same friends she had. They're not talking to her. People are talking behind her back, and we're not 100% sure what's gone on, apart from the fact we know that she's called the police on a party in the summer, during the summer, and now people are outcasting her. This looks at social structures within American high schools. It looks at cliques and jocks and all the different social groups that there are, and how this separates people, how this makes people feel, how faculty and staff in schools treat students, how families often overlook what's really going on because there might be other things going on in their life. And I really enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it was quite a 4-star. I think it was a 3-star for me, although I have to say it did get me reading. It did manage to build the tension. I liked the way it was split into sections. You had different sections for different sort of school terms, I suppose. There's like second marking period, third marking period, so the terms within the school year, and at the end of every section of that you had her report card showing how her report is changing over the year. And then you also had these little sort of, not even chapter headings because some of them were only a page long, but just little sort of side headings and yeah, almost like stream of consciousness, and they helped us to move through bigger periods of time and sort of facilitated that. As I say, I enjoyed it. I think it's going to be powerful to watch the film. There's been a film made with Kirsten Stewart, which I'm going to go and watch now, and I think it will make a really impactful film. I will be interested to see how I'll rate that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to watch the film and I'm going to rate it out of 5 as well. So I'd give Speak 3. Mainly because it didn't quite get there for me in terms of the motion, and I feel like I have read books on this topic that I feel have handled it not better in terms of, I don't think the actual subject and the topic was handled badly. I just felt like it didn't evoke that emotion in me as much as others have. So a 3-star for this, and I'll come back to you when I have watched the film. Okay, so I'm going to have to be quick, but it's still Monday and I've just finished watching the TV adaptation, the film of Speak. This is definitely more of a 4 to 4.5 star watch for me. I found it quite powerful, very moving. I really enjoyed it, much more I think than the book. It definitely evoked much more emotion in me. So I'm really pleased that I watched that as well, and it's not something that I normally do so close together. I do watch, read books and then watch films, but I don't tend to do it sort of, you know, right on top of each other, and I think that really helped hit the message home that the book's going for, and I just thought it was a really good experience, so I'm really pleased I did that. I'm speaking quickly because we're about to have a play date. Well, not me, well, sort of me, but we're having a play date this afternoon. So that's one book down and the film down, and I'm going to move on to my graphic novel now, and then my book about something that I want to do. And I've actually changed that one, and I'm going to be reading Kitchen. I can't remember who, I think it's Banana Yoshimoto it's by, and that is because I'd always wanted to go to Japan. It's somewhere I'd really like to visit, so I've changed that book, so I'll come back to you when I have read those. Hi guys, so it's Tuesday of the Booktubeathon. It's day 2. Yesterday I actually finished Swing It Sunny by Jennifer L. Holm and Matthew Holm. I just didn't get a chance to let you know that I finished it, and then I didn't get an awful lot done after that because Love Island final was on last night. So that was very exciting, but it does mean that it frees up my time in the evenings now to be reading as well. Matilda is going to her drama class again this morning, but I am going to bounce with my unicorn leggings on. I love my unicorn leggings. So I won't get too much reading done while she's there this morning, but I will have all evening. Swing It Sunny is the sequel to Sunny Side Up, which I read a while back, and I really like this middle grade graphic novel series. I really enjoy the look of the artwork. Sunny's story really is just about her and her family. She has In the first one, she goes to visit her granddad in Florida, and it's about their relationship and things that are going on in her family. This one continues the story, so I won't say too much about it because I don't want to spoil anything. I wasn't quite as keen on this one. I felt like there wasn't as much substance there as there was in the first one, although there was some interesting points that were made. So this one was just a 3 stars for me. It was a quick, fun read, but not necessarily one that I would pick up again. I think I would have just stuck to the first book had I known, but it was good. This was the book with the green cover. So I'll be moving on to my next book now. I haven't decided what it's going to be, which category I'm going to be going for next. It might be the spine with the Boneless Mercies, but we'll see, and I'll get back to you when I've read some more. Hi guys, so I've just finished Kitchen by Banana Yoshimoto. This was my book that I read wearing a hat. As you can see, I wore Matilda's hat to read this book. It doesn't quite fit me, but still, I don't think it looks too bad. I didn't enjoy this book at all. I think I'm going to give it a 2 star. I just think, and I find this a lot with Japanese literature, often I just feel like I'm missing something. I feel like the characters never give me any emotion. They're quite flat. I didn't understand some of the reasons why people did things they did, and I think perhaps that is a cultural thing. Maybe I don't understand the Japanese culture well enough. Our main character in this is orphaned and taken in by a family she doesn't really know at all. In fact, the only connection is that the son worked in the florist that her grandmother frequented twice a week. And yet she moves in to live on their couch. Yeah, and it just sort of progresses from there really. We're following the lives of this girl, or the life of this girl and our other characters, and yeah, it just lacked a lot for me. And there didn't seem to be much plot, there didn't seem to be much like emotion, there didn't seem to be much reasoning behind why people did things. And as I say, maybe it's a cultural thing and maybe I just totally missed the point with it, but it wasn't for me, so it was a 2 stars. So I'm removing my cap. And that was also the book that I chose for a place that I'd like to do, or something I'd like to do. I'd like to visit Japan one day. Maybe once I visited Japan I will understand the nuances of the culture a bit better, I don't know. But that was my reading the book with a hat, and also the thing that I'd like to do. So now I've sort of got a bit of a freebie, I suppose, because I've joined up those 2 challenges. So I'm going to read The Plagiarist by Hugh Howey. It's a really short book. I think it's about 50 pages long, and so we'll go towards one of the books to go towards the read 7 in the week. I've now read 3 books. This will be my 4th. If I can get this finished tonight, that leaves me 3 books to finish for the end of the week. That leaves me the coin flip book, which is The Wild Folk, which I'll be concentrating on most, and then also the Pretty Spine book, which I'm changing because I started reading Boneless Mercies today and I really just didn't enjoy it at all. I just wasn't feeling it at all, so I've put it down. I'm going to DNF that one, so I need to find a new book. I've read about 80 pages of the Boneless Mercies, but yeah, as I say, it wasn't for me. So I think the reason for that was it just felt like it was a story I'd read a lot before. It's like a quest story about a group of women who deliver sort of death to people, and the concept behind it was really interesting. It's set in sort of a medieval world, and they wear these special cloaks so that people know who they are, and when they go to a village, people can come to them and pay them 1 gold coin to do mercy killings. So like maybe people have got some sort of plague or disease and they want they want to die, or there's certain sort of prerequisites, I suppose, to why you can die. They don't do revenge killings, and then they end up deciding that they want to get out of this sort of life. They want to make some money, they want to be able to live and not having to do this, and so they decide they're going to go on this quest to this place where there is meant to be this sort of monster or something is going on, and lots of people are dying, and they're going to go and like deal with this and get the reward. But I just was finding it boring, and I just found myself thinking, I want to put this down and feeling a bit slumpy, so I've put that one down and I'm going to find a different book to do that challenge. So I'll let you know when I decide on it, but I will be back hopefully a bit later to let you know how I get on with the Plagiarist. Okay, so I've just finished The Plagiarist by Hugh Howey. I really enjoy Hugh Howey's writing style, and this was a really interesting little book actually. I don't want to say too much because it is so short, but it's this idea that there are these virtual worlds that are created for sort of people to do work in. So we would, like, you know, say it was me that worked for this company, I'd log in to our company's set of worlds that had humanoid figures in there, like a virtual reality world, and I could run experiments there and discover things and use the computer generated humanoids to help me make discoveries. And our main character is what's called a plagiarist, so he goes over to these virtual worlds and discovers authors and artists, and he remembers all of their work and brings it back to the real world. And yeah, we're just following that and what happens when things change and how that affects people. And I don't want to say any more because it really will spoil it. It's such a short story. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would actually. As a short story, I think I'd give it 3 stars. I thought it was interesting idea, one that was, once it clicked with me, I found that I really enjoyed the idea of, and it really got me thinking, but not one that I would say is amazing. So yeah, I'm really pleased I finally got to this, so I give this a 3 stars. I think, well, I don't know what I'm going to move on to next, so I'm definitely going to bed now. I'm so tired today, I don't know why, I'm just very tired. So I'm going to go to bed and I will get back to you tomorrow, which is Wednesday, and let you know what I'm going to be reading. But so far I have completed 4 books. Hi guys, so it's Wednesday and it's day 3 of the Booktubeathon, and I've been feeling a little bit slumpy, if I'm honest. I've not had some great books coming through this read-a-thon, and it's just made me feel a little bit So what I've decided to do is, the challenges that I currently have left to complete are the coin toss challenge, the beautiful spine challenge, and the free book to read whatever I want. So I picked a load of books last night and I put them on Instagram, and I asked you guys to comment which book I should read next. And I had the most comments for this one, which is Bookish Boyfriends, A Date with Darcy by Tiffany Schmidt. So I will definitely be reading this one, and I think this one will be my coin toss book, because obviously I tossed a coin, I put it on Instagram. It's a metaphorical coin because you guys picked for me, and I'm going to go with that. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with adapting the challenge if it means that I don't get slumpy, so I shall be reading this one for that. Then there was also 2 books out of the 5 that I put on there that also had people comment on them. So I think for Beautiful Spine, because I do like colourful things, I'm really gonna like that. So I'm gonna go for Noteworthy by Riley Redgate, and I'm going to read that one as my Beautiful Spine. And then as my free book, I'm going to read The Best We Could Do by Tweeby. I'm terrible at names and I apologise. Thebui, I think it is, and this is a story about
I need to pray because I need a poo.
This is a story of a family's journey from war-torn Vietnam to America, and I've heard it's really moving. So these are going to be my final 3 books for the read-a-thon. I'm excited about it now. I'm feeling like I want to sit down and read. So that's exactly what I'm going to do this morning once I've dropped Matilda at her drama club. I'm going to sit and I'm going to read for a few hours and just get myself into the reading mood, and hopefully one of these will be a good read. So this is my final 3 to read for the read-a-thon. I'm excited. I'll get back to you when I've read some. Good morning everybody, it is Thursday of the Booktubeathon. It's day 4 and I've just finished my 5th book, and that was, well, I haven't just finished it. in all honesty, I finished it last night, but I've only just had a chance to put the camera on and talk to you about it. And it's Bookish Boyfriends, A Date with Darcy by Tiffany Schmidt. This was the one that was picked for me on my Instagram when I put 5 books up and asked which one I should read next. Sort of like my homage to the coin toss, because I was struggling to pick a book. And I went into this, I bought it because I was excited about the premise. I liked the idea of Pride and Prejudice, I liked the idea of a contemporary, and then I'd looked at some reviews, and it's stupid, I don't know why I did it. I looked at some reviews and there was a couple of people that had said that it was pretty standard, it was an average book. I ended up really enjoying it. I don't know if it's just what I was looking for. I just wanted something fun and slightly romantic and a little bit silly. And I loved how Tiffany Schmidt had taken the Pride and Prejudice storyline and put it into this contemporary setting. And yes, it was obvious, and yes, we all knew what was going to happen. Anybody that knows Pride and Prejudice knew what was going to happen. But what I loved was picking out the characters and watching her unravel it. The basic premise of this is that our main character Merrily and her best friend Eliza have just started a new high school. They're going to high school, a really posh sort of private high school that they've managed to get into because Merrily's older sister is getting married to, I think, a senator's son, and so or a politician's son at least. And Merrily's other best friend, who is a boy who lives next door, Toby, already goes there, and so we're following them on this journey starting a new school. And it's really Merrily going to this English lesson where her English teacher assigns her, for various reasons, to read Pride and Prejudice and write this journal. And I just love the idea in this book of there being a book for you, and I think this is going to be a really great thread that is going to run through this series, because I believe it is going to be a series, and I can see that perhaps the next one is going to be based on Little Women, if I am correct, which would be amazing. And I definitely think there's scope for other books to come into play, especially for her elder sister, who's the one that's getting married to the politician's son. I feel like there's one that could be going on there. That was sort of hinted at in the book, but it's just a really fun story, and anybody that loves Pride and Prejudice, I think if you're willing to sort of realise that there's not going to be any twists and turns because you do know the storyline, you can really just enjoy it for what it is. And I gave it 4 stars. I read it in a day, I didn't want to put it down, I really did want to keep turning the pages, and I really enjoyed it. So it's definitely one that I would recommend if you want one of those light, fluffy, contemporary reads. I've got 2 books left to read. I've started both of them. I am about 60 pages into The Best We Could Do, and I had a little cry. The first section is talking about childbirth and the feelings that go through that, and it's following our character giving birth in hospital, how that feels, the things that can go on, the things that you can feel, you know, because unless you're really medically minded or have been through giving birth before, it can be a really scary experience. And when you're lying there, you can feel very vulnerable. You don't know what the best thing is to do. You don't know what happens during childbirth, even though you know the sort of basics. You don't understand what complications could arise and what that means for you and the baby. And you have to trust the medical professionals around you, even if that goes against what you want and what you've heard. And it can be very, very scary, and it can make you very vulnerable. And there are times when I read things like this and it takes me back to when Matilda was born. I don't talk about it a lot on my channel. I find it very difficult to talk about, which is probably the reason why me and my husband initially did not try and have any more children straight away. If you don't know, I suppose we should go into the story a little bit. When I was pregnant, I had about 2 weeks before Matilda was due, I caught the norovirus, which is the vomiting bug, which caused me for my waters to break and meant that I had to go into labour. They had to induce labour. Before that, I had been positive that I had preeclampsia. My nose was 3 times the size it normally was. My ankles were swollen all the time. But every time I went to the hospital and they did the urine test that you have done, they said that I wasn't. And so what can you do? You trust that. So anyway, I went into early labour. They induced my labour and everything was fine. I decided that I wanted an epidural. I knew that from the start. I'd wanted an epidural, which is where they put a needle into your spine and they inject you with sort of drugs that stop you from feeling pain. And so straight away they did that for me. And it was quite simple and easy, and I was lying there laughing and chatting to people. And then labour came on and I pushed and Matilda came out, and we'd been told that she was a normal size, she was growing fine. Every scan we'd had said she was fine. But unfortunately, because of the preeclampsia, the placenta had stopped working properly, and so Matilda hadn't been getting everything that she needed, and so she came out, she was only £4.5, I think that was £4.5. She was tiny. I wasn't expecting her to be small. They told me that she was normal size, and the first thing that I was told was that I was told off because the nappies that we had bought with us weren't the right size for a premature size baby. And anybody that's a mother out there, you know, I'd been told my baby was going to be average size. I'd bought newborn nappies, and the first thing that you're told after this emotional turmoil of giving birth is that the nappies that you've bought aren't small enough, and not in a kind way, in a judgy way. And then your baby is not given to you to hold. She is taken straight away to special care, and you're not told what's happening or where she's gone, and you are still attached to drips and stirrups and covered in blood, and you're left there on your own with no one telling you what's going on. It's horrendous. And then my husband came back maybe 10-15 minutes after I'd been on my own, which felt like a lifetime, holding up 3 types of formula. And we'd always planned on trying to breastfeed at least. I wasn't hung up on the fact that I had to breastfeed, but I would like to have tried. Saying that they needed to feed her and I needed to pick which brand of formula they were going to give her. There was no explanation of why or what was going on. I was just told, here's 3 formulas, you need to pick. It just wasn't what I expected my first experience to be of motherhood and of Matilda's life. And, you know, after that, the nurses and doctors in the special baby care unit were phenomenal. They were phenomenal. They were amazing and caring and did their best to explain to me what was going on, and really tried to make the time that we had to spend in hospital, because she was there for quite a while, as easy and informative as they could. But that initial labour, etc., was, yeah, something that I don't think I want to go through again. I just felt very alone and very, and you know, that's, I'm not saying alone because my husband was there and he was brilliant and amazing, but he had little to no knowledge, exactly like me. We were both in the same boat, and he was just trying to do his best to stay with our daughter because I couldn't, because I was stuck in a bed and couldn't move. And so anyway, sorry, I've waxed lyrical there. There is moments in here where she's nervous about what to do. She doesn't know what's going on. She's left on her own in the ward when she's given birth with this baby. She doesn't really know, you know, what she's got to do, and she feels scared and alone. And I just really yeah, I really connected with that. And so this is now following through the lives or her life, and I'm sure we're going to get into the part about them escaping from war-torn Vietnam. So good book so far. And then I've also read about 5 pages, so the first chapter of Noteworthy, which I'm looking forward to getting stuck into today as well. So I've chatted for far too long. This is going to be a ridiculously long vlog now, but I will get back to you later and let you know what I've ended up finishing. Oh, and also you may have noticed this week I am trying a week of no makeup. I'm trying to go makeup free for the week. I don't really know why. I just couldn't be bothered to put it on, and then I felt like it was really nice not having it on, so I thought I'd give my skin a break for a week and just have no makeup. So that's why we're seeing me with no makeup. And I'm just, yeah, I've got past the stage of feeling embarrassed, or not embarrassed actually, just a bit uncomfortable. I don't feel like me without my makeup on. I mean, I don't wear loads, but I do wear makeup every day normally. So I've got past that stage now, and I'm finding it quite freeing not having any makeup on. So that's why you're seeing me fresh-faced in these vlogs. Anyway, I'll be back a bit later. Hi guys, so it's day 6 of Booktubeathon, and I have completed this book, which is The Best We Could Do, and I ended up really enjoying this. As I said in my previous clip, with all of the backstory of my life, I really found some resonance with this. I found some connections. I really enjoyed this look into parenthood and the look into the struggles of a parent, and also how different families are. I also enjoyed finding out a bit more about the fall of South Vietnam in the 70s, and all in all, this was a really engaging, interesting book, and wouldn't necessarily be one that I would go for, reach for in terms of the colour palette. It's not quite as bold and punchy as I would normally go to, but the story definitely helped this one along, and the artwork was beautiful. So I ended up giving this one 4 stars. I then moved on to what I thought was going to be my last book, which was The Beautiful Spine, and as you remember, I've got onto this one, and I got about 80 pages through this, and I just really wasn't liking it. I don't think this gender, male or female dressing up as the opposite sex to fool people is something that I enjoy. Yeah, it just didn't work for me, so I really wasn't feeling it at all. So I put that one down, and I thought, right, I need to find one for my final challenge, which is A Beautiful Spine. And I had one on audiobook and also in physical copy, and so that is the one that I'm reading. I'm 40 pages in, I'm loving it, and I don't think that anyone could say that this is not a beautiful spine. It's a beautiful spine, and it's even got a beautiful naked hardback spine. This is Circe by Madeline Miller. I read The Song of Achilles earlier this year. I absolutely loved it. I've heard mixed things about this. Some people haven't enjoyed it as much as The Song of Achilles, and they've been a bit disappointed. So far for me, I'm loving this. There is a lot to take in. There's a lot of mythological creatures and a lot of gods and goddesses and demigods talked about, but I'm really enjoying it so far. As I say, I'm only 40 pages in. It's about 330 pages, so I'm going to try and get quite a lot of this listened to today. I'm doing this thing where I listen and I read at the same time. I'm really enjoying that. I'm listening to it on 2 speed and reading, because that's about the speed that I read at, and I'm finding that I'm really enjoying that idea of it. It means I can get up and go and do bits if I need to and just sort of listen, and then I can come back to the book and keep myself focused. So I'm really enjoying it so far, and I will come back to you when I finish this one, hopefully before the end of Booktubeathon, which means I will have hit all my targets. Fingers crossed. So I'll check in with you again a little bit later. Hi guys, so it's the evening of day 6. So it's Saturday, and I finished my final book for the Booktubeathon, which is Circe by Madeline Miller. Now, I told you earlier that I'd been listening to this and reading, and I continue to do that all day today, and it was a real great way of reading this, and I really enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy it quite as much as I enjoyed The Song of Achilles, but I did really enjoy the story. I think the main criticism of this for me is that there was just too many people talked about, too many demigods and gods talked about in here, that I felt sometimes overwhelmed with not knowing who they were. I think if you're someone that has a really good history and background and understanding of Greek mythology, I think that won't bother you at all. But I felt for me there was just so many people mentioned and so many stories I felt like I recognised the names of but couldn't quite remember their backstories, that I felt sometimes a little bit overwhelmed in that sense. The story, however, was one that I didn't know. I really enjoyed finding out about Circe, and I really enjoyed the way that her story went. As I say, I just felt like there was a little bit too much of other people mentioned. I did, however, really like the nod to the Song of Achilles. We had Achilles mentioned in here, and Patroclus. Is it Patroclus? Oh, that. See, rubbish already with names, but Achilles was mentioned, and his story with Patroclus and their love affair, which I thought was a really nice nod to the previous book, and I really enjoyed that. And yeah, it was a really good book, a really good read. It's a beautiful book in terms of the way it looks, so I love that, and I'm definitely going to keep it, which is unusual for me because I gave this one 4 stars, and normally I only keep 5-star reads on my shelf, but it's just a bit too pretty to get rid of, so I will be keeping this one. So I'm going to stop my vlog here because tomorrow I'm going to a trampoline park with my daughter, and then we're going to see Hotel Transylvania 3, and I won't be doing much reading. Plus I've met all the challenges for the Booktubeathon and I've thoroughly enjoyed taking it. Something I've come away with this year is that I've been following a bit more on Instagram and following the challenges, and I think next year is definitely the year where I'm going to try and take part in all the challenges as well. So fingers crossed that I can get myself all sorted and motivated for that. I definitely need to up my Instagram game, my Bookstagram. I need to come up with some more innovative ways of taking photos and just making them a little bit more creative, and that's definitely something that I'm going to be taking away from this, having seen the amazing Bookstagram photos people have taken for the challenges this week. I really want to start looking into being more creative in that way as well, so that's definitely something that I'm going to look into. So anyway, it's been a great week. I read 7 books and I have enjoyed all of them, and I'm really pleased to have taken part in the Booktubeathon, and now I shall be continuing on with my newts. Some of these have met challenges in my newts, but I will be doing newt updates throughout the month of August, so you can keep your eyes peeled for those. And that's it from me, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now, Booktube.